Hello and welcome back to Normal Guy Games. You have to give me kind of a pass here. I'm unfortunately recovering from COVID yet again, so my voice is a little oddball. But this time around, I have picked up something I'm excited about. So let's have a look. Space Marine the board game. Let's go. So this game is a Target exclusive, and I just got it in today. Today being the 2nd of August. I did pre-order it, so I've been waiting for it to come in. But the game is it's very interesting. It's set in a regular board game sized box, and as you can see, the manual has a lot of. It's really colorful. It's very shiny as well. Now this board here is very interesting, and we'll get to that in just a moment. It's actually going to come in handy for anybody that plays Kill Team, as a matter of fact. So getting to what we really want to see are the models. Now, these models are the tried and true real plastic models. You get a squad of 20 termagants and 2 ripper swarms for the Tyranid side. And these are the same sprues that are included in Leviathan. It's the same, as you can see me here scratching the plastic. It's not that cheap, soft plastic that comes in some of their games. These are actual Games Workshop sprues that come from, with the actual plastic they usually use. But here's the sprue everybody wants to see. Titus, the Ultramarine himself. So I really liked the Space Marine game. I will say one thing: there are 2 heads in there. You can either use the helmeted head or not, but who is going to use the helmeted head, really? I mean, it's kind of iconic about him. You do get a package of dice, as you can see. They come in a little paper package for whatever reason. And these are the counters that come with the game. You have to actually cut them out of the box insert for whatever reason, along with what everyone will recognize here, the floppy ruler that comes in a lot of basic games. And that's going to be underneath the insert too. So, that's what, along with, obviously, as you can see, mini bases. And the dice you get are just the standard, small white dice that come in a lot of Games Workshop stuff. And I'm happy with that. I'm fine with that. It doesn't have to be funky dice, But so here's the thing, though. Let's get on to the board. The board is really cool. It is a Kill Team size board. It's 22 by 30, and it is obviously a Sector Mechanicus board, as you can see. And it has some pre-drawn out walls and crates and whatnot that are already printed out on the board itself. So anybody that plays Kill Team, this will be handy. And moving on, again, we have the handbook. Now, the handbook, it first gives you kind of a brief rundown of what Warhammer is. And as you can see, it's got very nice art, and it's very shiny. You even have a table of contents there. It shows you where to go. It gives you a little bit of background on everything and some direction and what exactly is Warhammer. And it shows you an example of the units on the board and whatnot. Now, moving on to the art, man, the art is, as always, just beautiful. It's very, very nice. And as you can see, it gives you a little bit of history on the universe as well. And then it moves straight into the models. So it gives you the clipper safety, where to clip, lining up the parts, putting everything together. It gives you all the basics you need. And it even gives you a nice picture of what the model should look like. And as you can see here, you get 1 hero, Titus, and you get the 20 termagants and the ripper swarms. And honestly, the game being $40 really was worth it. Now, as you can see here, you also get the requisite lore behind the Space Marines. It gives you, a lot of background information, very cool art. And it goes into the Ultramarines and Lieutenant Titus himself, along with as you can see here, it gives you a look at some of the units that are in the Leviathan box, the Terminators, the Infernus Marines, and more Termagants. And then moving on, it gets into the Tyranids, and it talks about the Swarm, and again, it has some really cool artwork, and especially the Hive Tyrants and the Tyranid Warriors and whatnot that are in there. And then it gives you, the basics of, of Leviathan and the fleet, and a picture of the Tyranid side of things. And that art right there, I have not particularly seen that one before, but I really like that. There's a lot of good art in this book. But as you can see, the rest of it is the rules and whatnot. So it gives you like the basics, and then it moves on to the different scenarios. So it starts off with giving you a brief overview of the rules of engagement and the tools of war, which is the stuff you'll need to play the game. It gives you the data sheets, which, as you can see here, as I turn the pages, the data sheets are actually right there in the back of the manual. Easy to get to, easy to read, very simple. And it shows you the different tokens you're going to need to cut out. And then it moves on to explaining the board and explaining, the walls and the objective of the first scenario. Along with it gives you the training scenario, what you'll need, the layout, and everything. And it shows you the pre-painted or pre-printed walls that come on the board itself. And then it goes straight into giving you the details of the training scenario, and each training scenario gives you sort of an overview of part of the game and how it works. And it even shows you the different phases of moving, shooting, saves, and then the saves for the Tyranids, and then it gives you the moving and shooting of the Tyranids as well. And as you can see, if you look on the little boxes there, it shows you, and as I'm pointing out here as well, it gives you an example of what fails and what saves. So I mean, that's kind of a cool thing for an intro game. So and then after the movement and shooting for the Tyranids, you also get the saves for the Space Marine as well, for Titus himself. Now, then it moves into the next training scenario, which gives you a bigger swarm of Tyranids, and it goes into melee combat as well. Now, as you can see, if you read the scenario, it tells you at the bottom there, low ammo. So this is going to be a melee scenario only. So that basically this is going to be teaching you how to fight in hand-to-hand combat. And once again, it gives you the movement, the charging, the fighting, the attacks, the Space Marine attacks, and then it tells you it goes on to the Space Marine turn, moving, charging, fighting, attacks, and the Tyranid attacks, and then it goes on to the next round. So it gives you a very verbose overview of everything. Now, when you move on to the next scenario, once again, it gets, it adds a little bit more. It gets a little more complicated, and it gives you exact turn sequences for each scenario as you move on. So for this one, objective secured, you can see it gives you each of the different phases. Same thing with holding the line. It gives you the overview, and it gives you each of the different phases. And it does that for all of the major scenarios that come after. Now, after that, it does get into collecting Space Marines, combat patrol, the painting sets, how to paint them, the whole 9 yards of, each individual set of models. It shows you what you need to do to paint them to make them look good, and what you might want to get into if you want to expand a little bit. So moving on from this is more, instead of moving into kill team, this would be more moving into combat patrol. And of course, there's the obligatory advertisement for the 10th edition box sets. So overall, it's a very interesting game, and I think I'm going to give it a shot. And I've actually already got some Termagants painted up and ready to go that I'll probably end up using. Now, one thing I will say about this is when you're cutting things off of this sprue, be very, very careful, because it is one of those rounded ones that's shaped really weird, and you just got to be really light touch when you're snipping things, and that's what I'm kind of demonstrating here, because some of those pieces are very hard to get off the sprue without damaging the model, especially the backpack that he has on. Now, for this particular assembly, I'm going to speed this up. The only real thing that I had an issue with when assembling this model, other than you just have to be careful what you're putting where, the chest piece does not fit together very well. And even after assembling it properly and then pulling it apart and making sure I have everything together, I still feel like I probably should have shaved the peg on the inside of it to make it fit a little bit better. But what I ended up doing is just, I used the old cheat method of dropping a little bit of sprue goo into the larger spaces, because as you can see, I'm pointing out here, the gaps, this is after me correcting it and making sure it's sitting together well. The gaps are huge in the torso. That's the only place where you could see the big gaps, and I made sure that the model is secure and put together and tight, but there is still that gap there in the torso, so you will have to fill that. It feels like that torso, I don't know if they kind of cobbled it together or it's two different parts, but I'm not really sure. Anyway, so again, just when you're assembling this, just take your time, be careful, and don't force anything in there unless it really, really goes, and it goes there, because it's really easy to break or snip those little pegs off on accident. But once you get everything together on the first model, the rest of them will be much easier. The termagants are real simple to put together. I've already put together 40 of them or so, however many come in the Leviathan box. But once he is assembled and together, he looks good. This is how it turns out, and this is the man himself. Anyway, I just wanted to get this unboxing out there, and make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you for the next video. Thanks for watching.